This episode has been sponsored by Erica Acosta from Modern Images, located in Harlingen, Texas, at 2305 East Harrison. Erica is a color specialist and Brazilian blowout certified. If you would like to set up an appointment, give her a call at 956 241 1973. Now back to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Music and Beyond. I'm Ernie Crazy Eyes from Primitive Minds and Recall Productions. Today, I have a special guest, Delyric Oracle. How's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I'm just ready to get to know you a little bit. I listened to some of your music, and it was so different. It was different from what I listened to, and it was so different too from coming from a female musician.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've most of the musicians that I grew up on, I guess, weren't female, so maybe that's why I was influenced by, Tupac, KRS-One, Cormega, like a bunch of, you know.
Oh,
But I love female artists too. It's just that I started listening to them later on in life.
yeah, that's crazy. And but you know what? Like I see a lot of the influences, like when I was listening to your music, I was like, man, I hope I never piss her off because
Well, yeah, I mean, most of the music that I wrote that was like angry was kind of in the time where I was doing a lot of activism, like a little before Ferguson. So it was just that's how I started making music. I would just write all the time and then just like get it out. Like Gangland, I don't know if you heard that song. That was my first song. So and then it was just like it kind of went from there.
nice. I'm gonna have to check it out because the one song I did really love, I'm gonna look it up right now because like I was trying to remember it, but uh, I've just had to think and remember so many things today. So, uh, damn it, I forgot how to spell. There you go.
Yeah.
It was oh damn it, hold on. It was I don't know what. Oh, gang warfare.
Yeah, that was one of my first songs too. That was I think that was the first song I ever recorded in the studio. I made that when I was in Denmark actually. But yeah, I had just kind of like I had like a lot of friends who just kind of went through horrible things, just like basically the same thing. They weren't being treated like human beings. They were just being
Yeah,
treated like part of the system, from like, Romain Brisbane, who got shot by the police here, to, and he was not just shot by the police, but he was treated like they ran an article in the newspaper saying drug dealer killed by police officer okay, which he wasn't a drug dealer. He was getting his kids food, and he was coming home from getting his kids food,
yeah.
and and then I have a friend here who, she had her daughter taken away in a really horrible way, and they just kind of treated her the same. Like it was just, yeah, it's basically just the system treating people not like individual people, but just like these are the rules, so we're just going to follow the rules, and you look like this or you are like this. So
Oh man. And is more is more music like that coming out
yeah,
soon?
yeah, that was my first two albums were like that. I taken a little bit of a break the last year and a half just to kind of get some other work done and do some separate things and build up some funds and things like that. So in the meantime, my two albums, like, they're not distributed anymore, so I might put those back up. But the first two were all just like that.
Please put
That's
them
kind of
back
yeah.
because every time I listen to gang warfare, I'm just like, oh, like I need more. Like
Yeah.
uh,
I
it,
have
it,
I have some of it on Reverb Nation still, I
oh,
think.
okay.
But yeah, I mean it's kind of like my first, it's kind of like that a little bit, and it's also kind of more old school hip hop and like kind of almost like jazzy a little bit.
Yeah.
Like just kind of, yeah, it's an acquired taste. It's definitely
Like,
not like no trap music and stuff like that.
like
But
honestly, you gave me the vibe of the female immortal technique.
I love Immortal Technique.
Me too.
That's such a huge compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, so when I heard gang warfare, I was like, holy crap, like,
Yeah.
that's immortal technique, but with the female voice.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that was my first album was called Vanilla Sky, and it was all that type of music. I think Revolutionary but Gangsta, that song is still
Reverb.
or on Reverb Nation. Yeah, I think that song's still up there. The thing is, I took a lot of them down because that was my first album, like very beginning when I was first starting. So it's kind of, you know, like you listen to it after you've done albums professionally and you're just like, I don't like the way that sounds. Not that
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, so it's, yeah, I definitely want to remake some of those though, like in a studio professionally and things like that. Because there was a time where I would just literally sit and just like, I mean, everybody's doing it now, SoundCloud thing, but like I would just sit there and just like make a song a day and just put it out and put it out and put it out. And I just have like a group of people that were all, you know, activists and things like that, but also made music and made beats, and we were just kind of share music with each other. They would make me beats, I would rap over them.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I think, like, obviously, you know, I just found out about you this past few weeks, but, uh, like, it was a perfect time because, I mean, look at what's going on in the world, and I think what we need right now is somebody like you with the voice, and you know, just kind of like give us that little inspiration that we're all looking for, you know?
Yeah, I definitely have a song that I want to remake called Mumia, because that's still an issue, which is shocking. But I don't know how much you know about his case. If you know anything about him at all.
Who?
Mumia.
No, I don't.
I think Immortal Technique might have done something about him. I know a few people have, but he's a. So he was supposed to be like the next Malcolm X, basically. Like he was supposed to be the next like civil rights leader,
Oh,
and
okay.
he got arrested for killing a cop, but he didn't kill a cop. He, I mean, it's a long story, but it was a travesty of justice. And any lawyer that looks at the case is like, this is a travesty of justice. I mean, the judge got caught by the stenographer telling them, I'm going to help them fry that N-word. The cops coerced the witnesses to say that they saw him instead of someone else. They wouldn't let the ballistics woman testify at the trial because a different gun was used than the gun that he owned. So I mean, he really didn't do it. Like he was really innocent. But he was such an amazing, like he was like a unifier. Like he was really like, when you hear him speak, he's super intelligent, but he doesn't make you feel stupid. Like, you know, he can talk to everyone. Like he can kind of, you know what I mean? Like that's a skill. Like when you're, you know, some people can be like, because he was a professor. So some people who are kind of like, you know, they're harder to understand for some people. He's just one of those people that gets to everybody kind of, and just like makes you think and makes you, you know, kind of wake up a little bit. So and I think that's why they like him. So I mean, he's someone that like, to put into perspective how long he's been locked away, KRS has made songs about him when he first came out.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of hip hop homework because honestly, like, I mean, as you can tell by the shirt, it's either rock or country or like old school country.
Wait, what, you know the song Hurricane by Bob Dylan?
Yes.
Okay, it's basically that type of story, but a different person.
Oh,
Like it's that.
snap! That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Wow. But and like I was reading your bio and it says that you were like in a prison for a bit, like, or no, or oh man, I messed up.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I've been arrested protesting before, but not like overnight, like nothing serious.
Oh,
So
nothing serious. Okay,
yeah, no.
but I yeah, I think it was for the protesting.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know where that is, but like no. I've never, it's never, nothing serious, nothing
Well,
ever.
maybe I read it wrong. I
It might have been like my friend that helped, like one of the reasons that I wrote that song. I mean, one thing that happened with that was, you know, the song that I wrote, the one that you liked, when I came back to America, she would come to all my shows. Like she was super supportive and everything. She still is. But she wasn't super into activism. Like she's Black, but she was just like, I've never been treated differently by cops. I don't care. You know, it's just like that one situation that she's had with her daughter. Yeah. And then we were literally talking about this when I drove her home. Well, not home, to her ex-boyfriend's house. She wanted to talk to him. It was a long story. Anyway, so I dropped her off. And then the next morning, I got frantic messages from her ex saying, "Oh my God, she's been like attacked by police. She's been arrested. She's been like pepper sprayed and everything." So what happened was, yeah, what happened was she fought with him. She decided to sleep in the car outside of the house.
Yeah.
They came by and saw her and just decided that, you know, to check her out, to run the plates. And she had like not a warrant, but she had something that she hadn't paid for, like that had built up kind of.
Yeah.
So they wanted her to come out, and she was scared because she's like tiny, you know, and she was like, there's two guys like banging on the door, and she was just scared. She was scared of the police, so she didn't open it, and they broke through the window, like sprayed glass all over her, pulled her out through the window, and then doused her in pepper spray to the point like she had to take her weave off, she had to take everything off because she was doused in pepper spray.
That is
and then
insane.
they put her and then they put her on suicide watch, so none of us could find her. Like we were trying to call, we were like actually legitimately worried about her because we didn't know where the hell she was.
Wow. And where was this?
This was in Phoenix.
Damn, what the heck?
And it was literally the same night that she said, "I've never really had a problem with cops like that." Like that's the last thing that she said to me before I dropped her off.
Oh no, what the hell? Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. And how did you feel from moving around so much? Like, was it hard for you?
Well, when I was a kid, I think just the time that was a little bit hard was living in two different places. Like it's one thing if you kind of jump around a little bit, but you have a base. But there was a period of time where I was in middle school where I literally like spent half the year in one place and half the year in another place, which is a little like I didn't love that when I was a kid, but I like it now because I think it made me pretty adaptable and like able to kind of adapt quickly to different situations. And the high school I went to they had a rule that there couldn't be more than 5% from any one country, because at one point I think they had a lot of people from Russia there and they were ganging up on people or something. That was before I came there. And so they made that rule. So it was kind of cool because I grew up basically around, like there was no majority anything. There's no majority country. There's no majority like nationality or race or religion and nobody really cared about that stuff. As you know, like it's not like in America everybody really cares like about, you can't argue about or talk about religion here without like people getting.
I know.
Like in my school, like if you're curious about someone's religion, you just ask. There's no like nothing, you know.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I get in trouble a lot at work because sometimes I talk to some people like about religion and stuff. Not like that I'm promoting or anything, but we kind of talk about personal experiences. And then my coworker, he's like, "Hey, shut up! Like we don't talk religion or politics in here." I'm just like, we're just.
Well, that's weird to me because like, you know, I went to school in Switzerland, so that's like internet, like that kind of school is like where people send their kids when they're like in countries where it's like generals or presidents and their kids there so they're safe. You know, like that's because they have English schools there. So I literally would have friends that was like one from Libya and one from Lebanon when they were fighting, and one of their parents was like a general on one side, and the other one's like the son of, I don't know what he was exactly, but one of the leaders on the other side, and they were best friends. Like they could talk about it, they could have like conversations about it. So when I come here and people are like so invested in stuff that's not really them, like about them, it's really weird.
Yeah, it's weird, and honestly, like this has to do with the police cops in school. In 2008 or 2009, it was probably 2008. Either my junior or my senior year, I was wearing like a police t-shirt, and it had like a lot of crosses and stuff. Like it was a Christian-based t-shirt, and it had police in acronym form, and it said in the bottom it said, "Preach to others the love that we share in Jesus Christ every day." And you know what they did to me? They attacked me because they said I was impersonating a police officer. Never once did I go up to anybody and say, "Hey, you're arrested for doing." But I got attacked by 6 cops, and I almost lost my life that night.
Wait, the cops attacked you?
Yeah, the police cops, the school cops.
It's like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, like, I know.
And you were a kid. You were a kid.
I was probably like 17 or 16.
That's crazy. They're so violent. Like they're so quick. That's the other thing. Like, in Europe, and I mean, it's changed a little bit in Europe now, but I don't think it's changed to this extent since I've been there. I mean, in London, the police don't even have guns. Like I know there's a SWAT team now because of like all the stuff that's been going on. But when I lived there, like they didn't even have guns, like let alone shoot people, and they were fine. There are violent people in London, but they somehow managed to not. I mean, there's not a lot of police killings, like of police, and there's no police killings of people because people would not be okay with that. Like there, and like there's places in Scandinavia and stuff like that. I think it was Iceland or Finland or something. I think it was Iceland. They had like a murder. It was the first murder by a cop in like decades, and they were so sad and apologetic. Like they literally apologized to the entire country, and it was someone who attacked them, like ran at them with a knife. Like the one situation that maybe but yeah, they were like, because it's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to protect people. You're not supposed to kill people. Like that should be the worst thing you could possibly do when you're supposed to be.
And honestly, it's because of that point right there that happened when I was in school. I accidentally discovered NWA, Fuck the Police.
Yeah.
Because I literally put that on Google, like, let's see if there's music about saying fuck the police because I'm pissed off right now.
Yeah.
And then I discovered NWA like that. I was just like, oh, wow, like, Ice Cube is in this? That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, no, I really liked Ice Cube when I was a kid. I think one of the first CDs that I got, when I was really little, when it first switched from tapes to CDs, was Delyric Mob. It was like an old group that Ice Cube was in.
Oh, okay.
And and a Tupac CD and KRS-One.
I think my first one was the Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah.
And where does the name Delyric Oracle come from? Is there a backstory to it?
Yeah, so I have like a weird sense of I don't know, like when I do it with Adam and things like that, he thinks I'm like psychic or something. I'm not psychic. I just read patterns really well. So like, and I've been around a lot of different types of people. So when I meet people, sometimes I can kind of just feel their energy and feel like, oh, this person's like that kind of person, and this is what's gonna happen with them.
Oh, yeah,
so like that kind of thing. Like I'm good at predicting things. Like this election, for example, I had a feeling it would go the way that it's going, but that I think pretty much anybody could predict it, except for the news for some reason. But yeah, so that kind of thing has always been just a part of who I am. And when I went to university, I did my master's actually in that type of subject, which is cognitive semiotics, which is like just an advanced version of that, like the neurology and psychology of different language and the way we communicate and just like picking up on things. It's basically like spin doctors take that too, but also marketers and things like that. So I kind of built up on that with that. So I don't know if you know what the Delyric Oracle is by any chance?
I don't know.
Okay, so in Greece, what was that movie? There was actually a movie since I got that name where it came out, 300, I think it was 300. I think they were in 300, if you've seen it. There's like a part where there might be one, but maybe I think it's someone else. So they're the ones that were like on the, they basically, the scientific explanation for it is they were on methane rocks and they would like get high. For some reason that's why they would write an iambic pentameter. But in a mythology or just in the theory of it, it's like it's women who would basically decide the future of the whatever group it was usually like Spartans or different types of groups in Greece. They would come and see them, and it would be like a woman who would write an iambic pentameter and write prophecy. So it's like someone who would write rhymes that would like be talking about the future. So yeah,
that's crazy.
So I just changed it to Delyric Oracle.
That's pretty deep. That's cool. Oh, and you ran for mayor. How's that experience?
Horrible.
Really?
I always said I never wanted to get into politics before that, and then I got talked into it by like fake activists. Like people who were like, it showed me like exactly kind of how I thought political people were is exactly how they were. Like from the Democratic Party, like any party, but it was in this case it was the Democratic Party because I ran as a Democrat. But it's any party. Their tactics and they're just like, I don't know. They're just nobody would like. They talk a lot about wanting to help people and stuff like that, but whenever we would like find something that we wanted to do, like it was just all about winning for them. It was just all about like getting you know, to that point, just getting more power in that case. And I was just like, I'm not down for this. And I'm not like, this is all weird, like they were making like side deals with other people. And like, if you support this person, then, you know, you can, just, not for me.
Did 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 doing that kind of maybe uh change your mindset on how you saw politics?
Yeah, well, so before then, it was like I was in this place where, because coming from another country, even though I come here on and off since I was a kid, obviously I was born in New York, but like
Yeah.
having been away for so long and then coming back and just being like, wow, people here are really racist. And like people here, like the cops here kind of really suck. Like things that aren't, you notice it because you're not used to it. Like it's not normal to you. And this was back like, you know, before Ferguson happened and everything like that. And people weren't talking about it as much for some reason, which I found even weirder. So it was just like, it would drive me crazy. And it just pissed me off. And the more I got into it and the more I started working with like people who were like New Black Panthers, stuff like that. And the more I saw, I was just like more and more angry, just like go protest. And then when I did that, it got to a point where I was like, okay, so how do I fix it? And looking into that part of things, like kind of not only mellowed me out a little bit, but also made me realize some things about both parties and different politicians. Like that there are politicians that I thought were just making excuses that I was like, oh no, that is actually a way to fix it. And you know, like on both sides, even Republicans who I never thought cared about that stuff before, because they're very bad at communicating, like, you know, getting things across. And I'm just like, I've always been like listening to them, I'm just like, that's so racist the way they could say things. But then when I looked for solutions to the problems that irritated me, I was like, wait, what they're saying is actually one of the solutions. I was like, okay, are they actually trying to help some of them? Or like, and then you know, it kind of just opened up my mind more to different, like, you know.
I'm kind of to the point where like it was Trump and Biden this time, and I would hear one side, you know, the Trump supporters, and they'd be like, "Oh, blah blah blah, Trump is gonna do this, blah blah blah." I'm like, okay, and then, "Oh, Biden's gonna do this, blah blah blah." I'm just like, I think we're all gonna lose. So, like,
yeah, I don't. It's funny because everything one side says about the other is true for the other. So like, I mean, Biden, I've always kind of like been into like on an observer level, I've always been into politics. Like American politics is more interesting than any other politics. So I've always I watched Gore and Bush from like from Europe. Basically, I stayed up all night to watch that. Like,
oh no!
And because I hated Bush. Like I still hate Bush. That I haven't changed. Like that will never change. I don't like Bush. I don't like warmongers. I don't like people who lie to people and like, you know, send troops abroad. I don't like wars. So that's the one thing that made me very scared of Biden, because he's part like that. You know, Obama's White House did the same thing. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I do remember a lot of things about the Biden, you know, run in Senate and everything, like the 1994 crime bill. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of like his tough on crime stuff. I'm not a fan of like the racist statements he's made either. So like I just think it was a horrible choice this time. Like the DNC should have let like someone else win. Like they always do that. They pick an establishment person, like a corporate establishment neo-lib type of person, and they won't let anybody else come up in the primary, like Yang or Bernie or like anybody different.
Yeah, I always tell people like, they tell me go and vote, and I tell them like, why? They like the people, like the top government already made up their mind, like that's who's gonna win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the funny thing is like they really did, and usually people just accept that. But the funny thing about this is like Trump's not accepting it. I mean, I'm sure they cheat. Everybody cheats. Like they all cheat. Like I know they do that. Like they all do that. But you're supposed to just be like, okay, this time I didn't get it, you know, but he's just not doing that. And that I find kind of funny, because like I've always been curious how much cheating really goes on, like how much our vote really matters. And I think like, I don't know why everybody's getting upset. Like he probably won't win anyway. Just let them find out how much cheating actually happens once and for all, so we know, because I would love to know.
Ever since 2016, I dress up as Donald Trump for Halloween. I have a "Make America Great Again" T-shirt, and I buy a Donald Trump mask that I leave at a Halloween party that I go to every year.
Yeah.
But who inspired you to pick up the microphone and the pen?
Well, I mean, I've always been writing.
Always?
Since a kid. Yeah, always. Like literally, I have like notebooks from when I was a kid. Like, but not always lyrics. Like some, you know, I've written like, you know, just when I was a kid, when I would travel, I would do a kind of weird thing where I would just, you know, write myself into stories. Like I would just make up books basically, but put myself in the story. Just because I was bored in different countries. I didn't speak the language. But like, yeah, no, I've always been writing. And then I went through a period where I was just kind of like, I used writing just to like psychologically go through some stuff and just kind of like free associate, just write. And a lot of like lyrics came out of me at that point. And I was in the middle of, you know, getting into activism, things like that. And I had a friend who actually passed away since then, who was in Egypt at the time, Mohammed, and he was a producer. He did a lot of work for like he loved old school hip hop. So he like sent beats to members of Wu-Tang and things like that, like really old school hip hop. And you know, he was like, I made the gang warfare song, and I played it for him. He's like, this is awesome. Like, you should put it up. You should put it up. And he was just like super encouraging. And then like, you know, he introduced me to mutual friends and they listened to it and they liked it. And I was like, okay, like, I guess, yeah, sure, I can do this.
And when can we possibly maybe listen to a new Delyric Oracle album?
Well, I don't know if I'm releasing an album, but I have about 7 songs ready to go. It's just I'm releasing them kind of one at a time.
Okay.
It's, yeah. But I have a couple that are in Spanish. So if you, I don't know how many people speak Spanish. But, okay, perfect.
I'm Mexican as fuck, like.
Well, I mean, one of the places I lived when I was younger was in Spain, and actually one of my influences is, it's gonna sound really weird, and you might not know who they are because they're like old people music, but I just heard them a lot. Was Gypsy Kings.
I've heard the name, but I've never heard the music.
They're like they're Spanish, and it's just like, you know, I traveled a lot with my parents because they travel a lot, and you know, I just spent a lot of time with them when I was younger, so they love that music. Like, it's like yeah, you probably know the songs if you hear them. But that's been like an influence of mine. So, you know, when I had a little bit of writer's block, like getting back into things, when I first started writing again, and I was listening to beats, and for some reason, like, you know, just Spanish would come out. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna do 2 songs in Spanish, and then like everything started coming back again.
That's so cool.
So yeah.
I'm excited to listen to more music,
and I do have a rock kind of song in there too, as well. Because I was trying to experiment, just like I wanted to do as much. I like experimenting with beats, and I was just like listening to as many beats as I could, and anything that kind of spoke to me. I was just like, okay, I'll do this.
Oh man, you got me all excited now. Damn it. And plan for 2021. Let's say this pandemic disappears like tomorrow or right now.
That'd be great.
Do you plan to like maybe do something like a tour or?
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd love to. I mean, I'm hoping the pandemic goes away. I've been hearing, you know, 2021 is the time where things open up again. But yeah, as soon as it opens up, I think everybody's eager to jump out and go and do something.
Well, would you ever do anything like virtual, like maybe a Facebook Live?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. When I have, you know, because I'm releasing my songs one at a time. I'm doing about, from the 20th, I'm doing like kind of one a week until they're all out. Once they're all out, and I kind of have, well, at least half out, and I have some new material, maybe remix some of the old songs too, then I think I might do that. I was thinking about it.
Yeah, because honestly, that's what's been keeping me like not missing live music, because I mean, the only hip hop artist I've seen live is Cypress Hill. Yeah, but yeah, I kind of feel like, all right, I saw Cypress Hill. Like, I don't need to go to any more hip hop shows.
You got to go to a KRS show, but you got to go to a KRS show in Europe. Like, I know that sounds weirdly specific, but it's like in Europe, there's this weird thing between artists and the audience where like there's no walls. Like when I literally saw the same show in Paris that I saw here in Arizona, but it wasn't the same show because here it was like pre-planned. So like when he said, you know, like any B-boys, any B-girls, anybody who wants to like, you know, do anything freestyle, come up on the stage, it was pre-planned. There was pre-planned people to go up. In Paris, it was just like, get on the stage, like do whatever you want, like talk to people, and it was cool. And then he was doing a show with Public Enemy, and
nice.
Yeah, and they just like were like, let's go to the after party after, to everybody in the audience. They just told everybody like where the after party was. Yeah, like it's very, yeah.
That's intense.
No, but it's like that. And I went to a festival in Denmark and I got to meet Boots Riley from the Coup.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's one of my idols, and I talked to him. He was like so surprised that someone knew him there, because it was like Method Man was there and all these other people, and I was like I came here to see you. He's like, really? Yeah. And he like literally went home afterwards and looked me up and like liked my picture and stuff like that and sent me a message, which I thought was so nice, because I like talked to him for a good like 10-15 minutes about like, you know, I was doing music and this, and you know, he gave me advice and stuff. But like a lot of artists are kind of not the way you think they are when you meet them.
Oh yeah,
Or they're just like, you know, but like that he remembered and that he did that, I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, I've met a lot of asshole musicians.
Yeah.
And with the music out right now that you have available on Reverb and Spotify and Apple Music, what's the one song that you kind of hope people listen to the most?
Gang Warfare.
Gang Warfare?
Yeah, it's my first one, but it's still like that kind of music is my favorite, 'cause it's just like, yeah. And I mean, I like Revolutionary the Gangster too, but it's just that those are songs like the other songs from my album are songs that I need to redo, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
I just loved how raw you were in Gang Warfare. It's like, you know, just a girl here speaking her thoughts, and you know, you just kind of like, what? I don't have to be what you tell me. Like, I'm a fucking, like, you know.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. That's gonna be the soundtrack of my life from now on.
Thank you.
And is there anything that you would like to tell your fans?
Yeah, if you don't know about Mumia, look up Mumia and annoy people about him, because he's really been in prison for a long time and he should not be. So yeah.
And last but not least, I like to ask this question because you never know what you're gonna get. But if you were stuck in an elevator with any hip hop artist or musician or anybody, who would it be and what would you talk about?
Alive or dead?
You could do both, either dead or alive.
Tupac, just because I've always
Ooh.
wanted. I mean, yeah, Tupac.
Tupac.
I would like to kind of, I don't know. I really liked Tupac when I was younger, and like really kind of just like was on the same vibe as him. And then I kind of went through a period where I realized like, oh, he might have maybe needed to grow up a little, because I needed to grow up, like the way he like, you know, did things. And I was just like, and then I kind of like destroyed my illusion of him, you know, like, because I was I was a really big Tupac fan when I was a kid, like to the point where I didn't listen to Biggie until I was like 15. Like, which is ridiculous, but like,
go for it.
Yeah, no, like it was ridiculous. Like there was something about him I just really connected to. I mean, I think everybody has that. That's why he spoke to people so well. Like he was just so good at that. But I would just like to see like how he would be if he grew up, you know, like, because I feel like now that I'm a little older, I feel like he was not mentally in the place he could have been, you know, if he, you know, he was very like the way I was when I was a kid, like, fuck you, I don't care, like, I'm doing what I want, you know, like, get in your face kind of thing. And it's just, even how I was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Do you feel that Biggie was a little bit more mature about things?
Yeah, now I do, but I didn't know that when I was a kid, because I wouldn't listen. I still don't like Puff Daddy. I still don't like there's nothing I like about him, but like Biggie, I really didn't listen to him, because I was like really like in that, like, and I feel it sounds so stupid now, but I was a kid, you know, it's just fuck Biggie.
What are your thoughts on Suge Knight?
I think that Suge Knight is, I mean, I was gonna say made out to be the villain in the story more, but obviously he's done bad stuff, obviously. Yeah. Like, I'm not even gonna defend that. But when it comes to Tupac, I mean, that was his friend. Like, I think he cared about him, and you know, he was in the car with him. I think there's a lot of stories like he did it, he wanted to kill him. It's like, first of all, if he owed him money, why would he, like, killing him isn't gonna help him at all, you know, in any way, shape, or form than that. Yeah. You know. Second of all, I don't think Suge's the kind of person who would risk his own life doing that. I mean, like, he got shot too. And, you know, from people at the scene, they said, you know, like, there was genuine, like, horror in his eyes when he saw his friend get shot. So definitely don't think he had anything to do with that. Anybody who does, that's fine. But I don't know about anything else.
Yeah. Back in the MySpace days or whatever, I would always put like Biggie or Tupac, and then like people would be like, "Oh, blah blah." But I'm a Biggie fan because I
No,
just
I
love
get it.
I
Yeah.
just love that he's not like fuck you West Side blah. Like Tupac
He
yelled
probably
some.
would have. He probably would have been a better influence on me when I was a kid. Like, I don't think Tupac was the best influence on me, but at the same time, it's because like I had that kind of mentality too. So like
Yeah,
that's why. But like now I don't. Now I'm like, yeah, actually Biggie is kind of does seem kind of sweet and like mature, like and yeah. But
and
yeah, I feel like Tupac could have been like that if he was
yeah,
maybe in his 20s. So.
and it's so sad that All Eyes on Me did not do justice to Tupac.
Yeah. Oh no, no, that was horrible. I refuse to watch that movie. I know people who are like involved with it, but I also know people who are like, don't watch this movie. Don't if you know people who knew him who were like, don't watch this movie.
Yeah, I watched it. I was like, oh, it's okay, but I like the Biggie one better.
Mm. No, I never watched it. Like I heard I watched the NWA one.
Oh, Straight
Straight
Outta Compton.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about when you first talked about. Yeah, like I watched that one. Um, and then I would have watched no, I probably would have watched the Tupac one, but like so many people told me not to watch it, and then I know someone else who's a very big Tupac fan, like a really big Tupac fan, and he went and watched it, and his response to it made me not want to watch it even more because he was
Oh
excited
no.
about it, and he was just like, "That was horrible! Like what the fuck?" You know, like, and he also knows like people, like he knows the Outlaws and stuff like that, so I was like, "Okay, I'm not watching this movie. It's just gonna make me mad."
Oh wow, that's insane. And where can we find you?
Yeah, everywhere at Delyric Oracle, Delyric, Oracle, everywhere, anywhere. I'm
Awesome.
on. It's the same thing everywhere.
Yeah, I'm excited to listen to some new music. I hope uh I hope it gets released eventually,
No, it will
maybe
be
soon.
definitely.
And
It's lined up for.
yeah, yeah. Just go ahead and press that button.
Yeah, yep. And
But
I'll definitely remake some of the older ones too.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'm gonna go back and listen to Gang Warfare like 10,000 times. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And everybody check her music out. Spotify, Apple Music, Reverb Nation, like her page, The Lyric Oracle. And thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining me today. And
Thank you.
remember, everybody, that without music, life would be a mistake.